Hey everyone, this is James Pelton. Hope you're having a great day today. Good to see all of you. We've already got some people waiting for this, some friendly, familiar faces. Dan, good to see you. Funny Turo, always good to see you as well. We got Scott driving around. Make sure you stay safe, Scott, while you are doing this. But I do like to see you guys take a lesson from this. Scott is driving, but making passive income while he's driving with his Hive mappers. That's amazing. I love that. Justin is here. Good to see all of you. I'm glad that you can make it. Dane is here, and yes, we are starting soon. So thank you for being here. We are going to be talking today. This is a good friend, by the way. I want you guys to introduce. This is a in real life childhood friend. His name is Nolan. I'll let him introduce himself and tell a little bit about his story. But I would call Nolan an entrepreneur. That's what I would call you. He ditched his 9-to-5 and has just been doing entrepreneur stuff. And we're going to talk a little bit about that here today. Audience, need from you guys to hit like, need you to listen carefully, pay close attention. If you have questions for Nolan, the Facebook group guru, ask them and we'll bring them up. We'll do a QA and get all those answered as we go. So, without further ado, let's start with introductions. Nolan, I know you very well, but my audience does not. Can you please introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you as we get going here.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, like Jimmy said, my name is Nolan. I've known Jimmy pretty much my whole life. We used to play a little bit of flag football.
That's right.
And he would like if I made a bad play or like threw the ball just in the wrong place, he would still be encouraging, which is something that was both frustrating, but also something that was, good to have.
It was hard. Your football skills are not as good as your entrepreneurial skills. But yeah, you try to just find a positive out of everything.
Yeah. Well, so I guess, I went to, we know each other. We grew up in Lincoln, and we knew each other from church, and we both went to Lincoln Christian. And after I got out of high school, I was kind of like directionless, aimless. I failed my first semester of college. I found out college wasn't for me, but I stuck with it through the end. I wish I wouldn't have, to be honest. I think some people, college isn't for them. I was one of them, but I did graduate, and then I wound up getting a job, kind of working for my dad, selling investment bonds. And then that was super lucrative, really enjoyable to work with my family. That was my favorite part about it. But there was also I had these situations where I would go to these events where all these rich guys with, $10,000 watches and stuff like that. I just didn't feel like I fit in with those guys. One guy was talking about how he's cheating on his wife and everybody's laughing. And I'm like, this is not for me. And then my epiphany was when I was on the way back to the airport to go home. And I was talking with the Uber driver, and I was like, I'm having a much better conversation with this, ordinary fellow. So at that point, I actually encountered Tai Lopez. And he kind of there's some criticism about him, I'm sure, and that's all warranted, but he kind of kickstarted my entrepreneur's journey. And so I did sort of digital marketing, social media advertising in conjunction while I was doing Uber. But with that process,
there's Tai Lopez. If you guys don't know him, knowledge. All right, sorry. Continue.
No worries. So at that point, I was relatively successful doing that. I did. I had at one point I had 8 to 9 clients. I hit that 10K a month threshold, and then it all came tumbling down because I was focused on so many different clients that were in different niches. So if anybody is entering that niche of digital marketing, just the lesson I learned there is just focus on one niche and then go national. But I encountered around that time where everything came tumbling down, I encountered an idea that sort of brought consumers and business owners together through a Facebook group. Most cities will have a networking model. This sort of makes it accessible for your average consumer. So like within a networking group, people are sharing referrals in business, but you max out at about 20 people with that. With a Facebook group, however, I have 20,000 people in my Facebook group, and everybody wins. And that's really what drew me to that idea. Is there's people that and the group is free for everybody to join, but then there's like ways of pouring gasoline on your advertising within that group, and then being first to get recommended, things like that. And that's it's been successful for the people that have I've monetized with, and it's also successful to people that are just ordinary people within that group who are looking for stuff. Everybody loves it. There's the odd person who's just a negative Nancy, which that just happens. But overall, I would say it's been really beneficial. And one of the things you said to me, Jimmy, is money flows where value is created or value goes. And so I think definitely created something valuable for the community here, as well as like, my philosophy is keep one hand open to give. And that's the first thing you do to others. And then you keep one hand open to receive where it's appropriate. So, yeah.
Love that. And by the way, just so everybody knows, I don't heckle most of my guests. So if you ever want to come on my channel for you guys watching, I don't normally heckle people, but just, yeah, me and Nolan have been friends for a long time. So I might heckle him as we're going. But that's not normal. Okay. I don't do that to you if you come on my channel at some point. So yeah, when Nolan came to me, we talked about this idea while you were kind of putting it together, the Save Lincoln Local. And I was kind of like, sure, maybe that's an idea. Again, I have people telling me ideas 24/7. But then what I like to see are people executing on some ideas. And so I was like, well, we'll wait and see. We'll see how this goes. And then, you fast forward, how long ago was it that you created this group?
Feels like, well, I created it maybe 2 or 3 years ago, but it's been a journey of learning and how to do things best. But I think we had that conversation maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Okay, yeah, I think you're right. And so Lincoln is not a big city, okay, guys? Like Lincoln, what are we, 200K, 300K maybe in the whole Lincoln area?
Yeah,
300K. So we're not a big city. Let me know, by the way, audience, we'll get some comments going. Where are you guys from? Because that will show us if this might work well for you guys. So this is not a huge city, but so far, Nolan has grown this group to over 20,000 people, which means like 8% of the whole entire city of Lincoln is now in this Facebook group. And it spreads like wildfire in a lot of ways because first off, the name is really great. People want to bring all their friends into it. So there's like a huge, once they're in it, they're like, invite all their friends. So there's a great kind of networking aspect to it. And then once you have an audience, which we'll talk about this here in a little bit, once you have any kind of an audience, let alone a 20,000 member audience, that's a huge audience. My email list is 6,000 people. Okay. So this group that Nolan has grown is 3 times my email list, but there's many, many different ways that you can monetize this. And so this is just a great model that I think Nolan has found here. So let's see where we got. We got Des Moines. So Des Moines, definitely a city that this could work in. Northern California, that's not a city, but there's many cities in Northern California that this would work great for. Tulsa, definitely. Tulsa would be an option for this. Really, what's kind of the minimum city size that you kind of see this work for?
I'd say Lincoln's probably one of the on the smaller end, but I would say 200,000 would be the minimum of a population for sure.
Okay. So 200,000. And, even if you're in the area, like technically I live in Roca, Nebraska, population 513, but I'm right by Lincoln. So, works for me there as well. Scottsdale worked great there. San Diego, probably could maybe have couple San Diego ones. Maybe that could be a huge.
I would say the bigger problem would be like for those larger cities like New York City, you just have to break it up into neighborhood.
Yeah.
So like for like even Omaha, you might be able to break it up into like 2 or 3, I think. You could have Bellevue and Papillion as one, and then, North Omaha and like, what's the West Omaha place called? Anyway, But yeah,
West
you might have
Omaha.
to, I would say, yeah, you might have to break it up, like, because if it's over 1 million, I would say 1 million might be the max. So if your
Okay.
city's big,
So then you
1
break it
million,
up into smaller areas.
break it
Makes
up into
sense.
smaller.
San Francisco, definitely worked there. I need to introduce you to Jerry Akers. He's the Great Clips franchisee and the joint franchisee for Lincoln. Yeah, absolutely. Get in touch. I'll leave my email in the comments, but yeah, shoot me an email. Love to connect with, especially with local people. Anybody who's ever in the Lincoln area, happy to grab lunch, happy to meet up with you. I'll buy you lunch. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I'll get some college students getting in touch for a free lunch. But so let's kind of walk this through step by step. Omaha. Yeah, Omaha's a city in Nebraska. The biggest city in Nebraska. Let's kind of walk this through step by step. So if somebody came to you and was like, okay, I want to start a local group, what do I do to get started? Can you kind of give us a high level overview of what you did to kind of get this going?
Yeah, first of all, I would say I don't think necessarily this is for everybody. So I think one of the things you need to be able to do this well is be able to talk to anybody, and also, like, just be, I don't know, because you're going to be dealing with so many different types of people that you have to just be receptive to that. And then also, it potentially could frustrate some of the existing establishments. So you have to be also willing to, endure through that. And I could talk about that more in detail, but I would say the first thing is just adding value. So when it comes to that, giving to the community through giveaways, stuff like, the next giveaway I'm doing is going to be like an ice cream giveaway. The biggest results I got was giving away a PS5. So I'd say that's like one of the primary engines of growth for growing this model, is being willing to spend money, but also like work with other people, maybe other local businesses want to give. And then you can, like, I can't go into detail on how to construct posts and like stuff like that, but I've done hundreds and hundreds of giveaways, and being good at that really helped me grow quickly. The second thing I would say is you got to be able to sell. So be willing to meet people, whether that be via Zoom, phone call, or in person. And I would say in person is the best. Your conversion rate will go up, but also, Zoom is often more convenient for people. And the third thing is just being willing to maintain the group and like moderate and be the administrator, and only allow things through that are beneficial for everybody.
Okay. Yeah, totally. I remember when you first started, there was a lot of like just self-promotion stuff of everybody's like, oh, a place for me to advertise my services. And that's not a super helpful local group if it's just a bunch of people posting advertisements, right? Because you tried to keep it from that. So yeah, I remember you started with a bunch of giveaways, like you said. And then a lot of your giveaways, you just went to local businesses or contacted local businesses and, hey, have this local Lincoln Facebook group. You'll get some good exposure if you give something away as part of it. And you were able to get a whole bunch of free stuff doing that method, right?
One of the things that I did, and it does take some time, so I've learned like ways of saving yourself time. And this is probably one of the things that does require some time, but I asked within the group if anybody was willing to donate. And then you get like 50 people responding saying, hey, I'd love to donate and get, my business advertised with this giveaway. And then, yeah, I mean, at that point it's kind of free for you. But I usually add something in to, enhance the giveaway, whether it be like AirPods or a PS5, or, maybe I'll go and I'll buy like a gift card for 12 pizzas and give away 12 pizzas through, for somebody that wins. There's just a number of options. But the nice thing about, sourcing it from other people, obviously it saves costs, but if you do like 50, you have to drive around to like 50 different places and pick all those up. So, but but it still works. That worked really well. And the nice thing about that as well is like it really looks authentic because these are all local businesses that people recognize, whereas if I'm giving away a PS5 by itself, it looks kind of like, is this real? A lot of people put stuff out there that's kind of scammy. So people might overlook things like that unless they look super authentic and genuine,
Yeah, did you find I don't know if this is true in big cities as well as, mid-sized cities like Lincoln, but did you find that like the shopping locally was a big draw for people? Because is that kind of what you're going with the name is like Save Lincoln Local? So it's kind of like, hey, let's not send our money out to, all the big box people. Let's stay local. Is that kind of part of the messaging that you do?
Yeah. So like, the average person, if they spend $10 a week locally versus big box stores and chains, it can add millions of dollars, like hundreds of millions of dollars to the local economy. So people really like that message. And then, along the way, like as you're building this, it does have some monetary benefit. But what I really like about it is the opportunities you get to meet other people and other business owners and help them in person, with tips. Like really a mindset that works for this is like, how can I be of service? And the more you can be like, how can I be of service to my city? The better. So, and
Yeah,
sometimes it's
absolutely.
hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's really a win-win-win situation because like as you can see, it's mostly people asking for recommendations, asking for local recommendations. And it's really cool now that the group is bigger because I mean, this is all organic stuff that you're not a part of. It's just all these different people that are asking, hey, I'm looking for this. So it's a win for people because they're looking for recommendations. It's a win for businesses because they're in here looking, they're looking for a contractor business insurance agent. That happens to be what I am, and so it's good for businesses. And then it's also good for you as the group owner because now you do have an audience that you provided a service to, and it really is a win-win-win situation. And it's really cool that you just kind of did this from scratch.
It's the Michael Scott win-win-win. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, right. Win-win-win situation. So, yes, so that's building the group. So that was kind of step one is you build a group. So you created a Facebook group, you kind of focused around let's shop local. Which I mean, there could possibly be if you're in San Francisco. I don't know. Is that a big thing for like shop local, or would you recommend a different model in different cities, or is it kind of that same? I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Every decision it has its downsides. So like, if I wanted to make more money, I might call it something else. I might have like if I could go back and my goal was to make more money, I would have called it something networking, like Lincoln networking, or Ask Lincoln, something like that. But I think, my mindset with this was it's kind of part philanthropic, because there's millions and millions of dollars that go through this group. And I only see a tiny, tiny percent of what that is. And there's still opportunities to grow. And, yeah, I would say it depends on somebody's goal. Yeah.
Philanthropic means helping people in case sometimes people aren't used to these big words, Nolan. You gotta be careful. Use plain English, man.
Sorry.
Yeah, no. No, you're good. You're good. No, it's been great. So that's kind of step one is you build this group, you get this audience. Then once you have an audience, there are so many different ways that you can potentially monetize an audience. And again, that wasn't the main goal was I'm going to create an audience so that I can monetize it. But it's just a benefit. You have this big group. Now you can monetize it. But what I found actually is some people have a hard time making that jump of, okay, I have an audience. How do I monetize an audience? I don't want to turn into a salesperson who's just after everybody in the group trying to sell them on something. So can you tell us a little bit about how you monetize this and how you've turned it into a business for yourself?
Yeah, I'm an advertiser. So one of the things that I've noticed about modern advertising that, if you went to college for advertising 30 years ago, a lot of that stuff I don't think would apply um, in the modern world. One of the biggest principles I've learned is that, if it looks like advertising, then 80% of people are going to shut their brains off. So what this is a grassroots movement. And so if you at any point are advertising yourself, people will get annoyed by that. But it also, like, Facebook dictates the extent to which posts get seen, even within the group. So if your post adds value, like we did a post for your event last week, Jimmy, and I just made sure, like, this post looks like a couple of guys trying to add value, not like 50% off this or that. It's just like, hey, come to our event. We're going to share some value. I'm going to share some tips. Check it out. Just comment below. And I think the more people can move things up the sales funnel, which is like add value first by giving something for free. And then from there, maybe you have 10 people show up and then 2 of them sign up for something because they're interested in more. And then I think just modeling in that way is going to be beneficial if you're trying to switch to monetizing it. Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about, I don't know how much of your secret sauce you want to share, but do you want to talk a little bit about, you'll share it all. Awesome. Do you want to talk just a little bit about how you have been able to monetize this group again in a way that is a win-win-win situation for people? Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I would say the primary source of monetizing for this is we have what we call preferred vendors, which are like, they're for like higher ticket industries. So for instance, I wouldn't necessarily sell a donut shop or something, where the margins are small. Oh, hey, there's you and me.
Look at that. Look at those good friends.
So I wouldn't sell it to a donut shop, but like somebody whose transaction value is like over $1,000, or, it's kind of an equation of like, well, does this the industry that this person is in get a lot of asks in the group? So if it's like 1 or 2 a month, first of all, they have the layer of the individual person's asking so they can get a quality recommendation. So what I do is I find people that have good reviews, they have good character, the types of people that, it's largely home services. So they're the type of people that if something goes wrong, they'll make it right. And people are looking for that. And that's the value that I provide to the consumer asking. And then I'll recommend them first as the inquiry comes in, as the question of the people looking for an electrician, for instance. I'll recommend that electrician. And then from there, thousands of people actually witness that conversation. So imagine like being in a networking group where thousands of people are witnessing the conversations that the networking group is having. So it actually would amplify the results that networking group has, and it would probably make whoever that person is the most valuable networker in town. And that's kind of what has happened, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Very cool. So it's been really cool to watch as kind of an outside person. But so Nolan created this group, he grew this group, and then he started this preferred vendor program where people pay monthly to be kind of the preferred vendors for when people ask for things. And it's made a significant amount of money. I mean, it's turned into your business. And then you're an entrepreneur, so I know you're not stopping with this. Like, this isn't your end goal. And I actually asked Nolan, okay, so before you think he's a salesperson or anything like that, I actually got in touch with Nolan. I was like, I love what you've done with this Facebook group. You need to turn this into some kind of like a coaching program or a blueprint or a training course, something to help other people do that, because we did it in Lincoln, Nebraska. I say we, like I had something to do with it. You did it in Lincoln, Nebraska. And I think anyone could do this in their local community. They could do the exact same thing that Nolan did, step by step. And I think they could see, I don't know if you'll get the same results that Nolan's gotten, but you could get better results. You could find better ways to monetize, perhaps.
For sure.
Or maybe you don't want it to be your full-time business and you just want to make a little bit on the side. When you get an audience of 20,000 people, the sky's the limit for what you can do. So I kept twisting Nolan's arm. I was like, please put something together, come on my channel, offer it to my community. So Nolan has put together a program, we'll call it. And actually, before I could pitch it because I'm really excited about it for my audience. But Nolan, I'll let you, you're going to be the guy in there kind of helping people through it. Do you want to talk a little bit about what this is and what all is going to be part of it and who it's for?
Yeah, sure. So like right in the bottom corner there, like anybody who's like interested can text me by clicking that little bottom right hand corner. And then you can ask me questions and I'll get those and I'll be able to respond to you. So if you have any hesitations, you want to talk about your city and whether it applies to you, you can text me there. I really like that, that little chat bot there. But yeah, it's kind of what we're going to do as a coaching program. So it's going to be 12 weeks. And I'm going to walk you through, hold your hand, and step by step show you exactly what I did to build it to where it is now. And, basically it's going to be limited to 25 people, one person per city. And we're going to test it out and see how it goes for people. And it's really a win for me if you can succeed doing it, because then it's a proven model. So if I can help you succeed doing this, then I can continue doing it. So, and I also I really like the impact that these types of groups make on the community. So maximizing that seems like a better use of time. So if I can help other people do this, then they can help their cities start to, get more local business going. And I think, more and more people want to rely on their own community versus, broader structures of authority.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about, we didn't really talk about how much you make. And I know that's kind of an uncomfortable question. People ask me all the time, how much do you make? But can you share, it's highlighted right here, but you've been making, for you, $6K a month through this model. So it can be a very lucrative, for a lot of people who makes, a lot of people don't make that in their 9-to-5 job. And now Nolan's to the point, and that's a monthly. You have these people that are paying monthly. I love the membership model where you don't have to go find new people each month. It's like the same people and they're being successful with it. So people are sticking around because they're, they got this group of 20,000 people and they're getting sales each month from their, $100 a month that they pay to be in it as a preferred vendor. So I think that's amazing. So when we talked about this, me and Nolan, we were talking about how do we structure this? And, I've looked at a lot of different things. Like we had the guy on for a Done For You Amazon store the other day. And his model was you make about $6K a month, but he's charging $40,000. And so we talked about that. Is that what we do for this program here is we make it $40K and, really help people through it. And I think at some point you might, I keep saying we, like I have anything to do with it other than just, I don't know, twisting your arm to do things that you may or may not want to do. But, okay, good. But at some point that might be what it is. But we decided to start out with these first 25 people just to really get it honed down to a system, a blueprint that will work in any situation. So he's doing it for $9.97. Which I thought was a steal. I was like, that's super cheap. We talked about making it a lot more, but I think that's a good range where it's going to be people who are actually serious about it. Because you don't want tire kickers who are like, oh yeah, I'll throw in, $50 and give it a shot. But it also doesn't make it out of reach where it's not something that anybody could do. So I'm really excited about this for my audience. I've got a ton of people that I know that are even watching right now who are like, hey, I need a way to make extra income. I don't have a ton of capital sitting around. I'm willing to put in some effort. I think this would be a great model. And it is kind of first come, first serve because if you really only can do one person per city, like Lincoln, Nebraska is done. Okay. Like you're going to have a hard time with the Save Lincoln Local 2 or something like that. It's not gonna
Yeah,
work as well there.
you could be my competition, but it would just make both of us better. So it would actually make both models better increasingly, which would benefit the population. So I'm not actually opposed to that, but
There
it
you
would be
go.
hard.
There you go.
Make,
A little
but yeah,
healthy.
wait,
Can we
go
play
ahead.
her video?
Well, okay, so it's a long video, so you don't have to play it, but I did want to share some stories like her
Yeah.
right there. They had signed up and they got within the first month and a half, they're a handyman. And they got 20 to 30K in business. And they were paying that, $100 or so a month. And, there's endless stories about that. Like even from people I know people who don't pay me anything that have made over 6 figures for their business in the group. And that's fine. Like, that's the thing. Like, you have to be okay with that and just realize that the people that want to continue that and like pour gasoline on that success are your customers, not necessarily the ones that, want those one and done type of deals.
Yep.
So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, some great testimonials, and then as you collect testimonials, that just helps sell your program even more, and you'll help people through all that. So you'll help people walking them through how to build the Facebook group, how to get that audience, because you have to do that first. That's step one, is you have to build the audience. You can't start selling if your Facebook group you created, it's got 2 people in it. It's not going to be very effective selling something. But you start by building that, like you said, giveaways, engaging posts, value offers. Then you create a program of some kind, like a preferred vendor. And Nolan will help you through all of this. And I'm available too to help if you guys want to just brainstorm stuff. Like maybe you have a different idea for how you would want to monetize it. But Nolan will help you kind of put together a offer, a program or something that you can sell, preferably something monthly. Because then again, it just grows each month. You don't have to go resell every month, but it's just this monthly thing that builds bigger and bigger and bigger. And then he'll help you through all of that. So I think this is amazing. Nolan's super cool guy too. Look, his phone number right there. You can text him, call him. If I pulled up my phone and called it, it would ring his phone right now. That's his real number. So that's amazing. You can come here and chat with him too. So amazing opportunity. I'm going to leave a link to this. Again, it's 1 per city. And if somebody else ends up getting your city before you do, Nolan will just give you a refund. But I don't think that will happen. But he's limiting this first kind of, can we call it a cohort? I just like that word. Can we call it a cohort?
Cohort, yeah.
Is that good? Is that good? So this first cohort is going to be 25 people that Nolan kind of walks through this process that he's done. And he's going to really be, especially for this initial cohort, going to be really, really invested in making you successful. So this is kind of a beta for potentially a bigger program that he's going to build afterwards. So I'm very excited about it. I don't know if you can tell from my excitement in my voice, but I think this is really cool. Leaving a link here. We have a few questions. Sorry, Nolan, go ahead.
Well, one thing I did want to mention is that, this channel is about passive income, and I love that. And I've watched some of your videos, Jimmy, and, some of your, let's say, vending machines. So this can work in conjunction with that. For all of the business and passive income streams you have, you can use this model to kind of be the foundation of promotion for some of those things. Not in a way that's in your face advertising necessarily, but like just making people aware of the different things that are available to them that might be a benefit. So I wanted to mention that. I've gotten customers for other businesses through this model as well. So,
okay, very good. Yeah, this would be great if you built a group like this and you wanted to run vending machines. You would have so many connections of places. Yeah. I would say that's honestly one of the most valuable things that you found from it, just from talking with you, has been you are now. I meet random people around town and they're like, "Oh, do you know Nolan Morton?" And I'm like, "Yeah, well, what do you mean? He's my childhood friend. How do you know Nolan?" He's like, "Oh, he runs that Save Lincoln local group." And around town, Nolan's honestly around Lincoln is becoming like a household name in a lot of ways, which is cool and opens up so many doors for so many different things. We could do a whole video just talking about all the different side hustles and things that you've been up to here recently.
Mhm.
Political office in 5 years. Ah, there you
Not
go,
interested.
Nolan. Not interested. Not interested. Awesome. Well,
I want to
let's do a
actually help people. Yeah. Anyway, go
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, let's do a few questions here. If anybody has any questions, Nolan's happy to give, stuff for free too. So if you have questions about your Facebook group, or hey, I need help with this, Nolan's happy to do that. Let's see. Do it for me in my country, and I'm happy to split revenue. It fits well with what I'm doing. Is that something you'd be interested in? Should they just reach out and maybe you can work something out?
Maybe we'll have to talk about it. If it's for a country, I don't know if that would work.
Yeah,
Or a
what do
county.
you think about this outside of the US?
I think it would work great. I think like you're more likely to have competition in the US than you are outside the US. So like
Okay.
if somebody's from Mexico City, this would be amazing in Mexico City, particularly since platforms like local businesses aren't always on platforms like Google. So consumers are often stumped on where to look for things, especially people traveling. So yeah, I think this would work great in a lot of places. So,
Yeah, and honestly, if you have any local business, you could create this group as just kind of a lead generator for your business, your particular business. Like, yeah, if you're a local business marketer, like Nolan kind of is, create a group like this. You'll have an infinite number of leads to put in there. Even if you like run a restaurant or something, you can create a group like this, and you're the featured vendor in the group, and that'll bring a lot of traction to you. Insurance, financial planners, like I see in there all the time people asking, hey, I need a financial planner. If you are a financial planner and you're like, hey, I need more leads, real estate agent, I need more leads, create a group like this, get it going. And again, the number one goal isn't to sell, it's to provide value. But as you do that, when you provide value to enough people, like Nolan quoted me saying, money always follows value. So create
yeah.
value and money will always follow. Here's a good question. Can it be done via VA?
Like you mean the administration of it, or
Like the posting and the giveaways. Can you do if you don't have a lot of extra time, like if I was going to do this, I would probably want one of my virtual assistants to do that. How well do you think that will work? Do you think there'll be problems? Can you make that work? I think people are looking for ways to make it more passive.
I think you can, and I think that might be the best way to do it. But it probably is a good idea to have an understanding, to have some experience doing the individual things before the VA is trained, and understanding like why things work the way they do. I think you could show, for instance, I think you could show anybody like an advertising strategy, but if you don't show them why it works, then when things change, when the landscape changes, they'll be stumped on what to do. So yeah, I think you could create a step-by-step program, but you for a VA to follow. But I think it's dynamic enough where changes often have to be made to keep things rolling. So yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's how I approach most of my businesses. Is I always make sure I do the work at least at the beginning to kind of get a really good feel for here's what all is involved. Because if you just start by going to a VA, they're going to be like, what do I do? And they might not even speak native English and stuff. So it's going to be really hard for them to kind of figure out some of the stuff. And so if you do it at the beginning and you kind of find, okay, I got to do one post every 2 days or something like that is what works best for my group. And if I find it works best, I get the most engagement when I post like this. Then you can kind of make a note of, okay, here's the work that it took. And then eventually you can kind of hand that off. You now have like you said, a blueprint. Here's what's successful. You can hand that off to a VA. And that's where VAs can be really effective in that.
Yeah. I think posting definitely could be done via VA. And commenting. But yeah, I would say like the leadership, there probably needs to be some level of leadership within the group, which is why, like, if I was to create one in another city and then I started another one in another city, I would want somebody to be there to kind of make sure things are going well and field, like, different questions about things. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can even find somebody that's in the group. I mean, there's 20,000 people in this group. I guarantee you there's 1,000 people that would be happy to be like, yeah, I'll administer the group. I'll even do it for free. People are probably even willing to do
That's
it for
true.
free. Like
That's
I'll be an administrator. I love this group. I think it's fun. And then, another monetization thing we didn't talk about, but you can have people buy in to part ownership of the group and be like, hey, for this amount of money, do you want to come split the group with me? And it's all sorts of opportunities out there once you get going. Let's see. Hey, cuties. Hey, AC. Thank you for the compliment. We are good looking guy. I mean, look, this is Lincoln, Nebraska in a nutshell right here, guys. If you're looking for, and Nolan is single, by the way, ladies, if you're looking for an entrepreneur, you're single, right?
Are there any ladies that watch this channel?
No, I don't have many. I don't have many women that watch my stuff, which is a huge waste of my good looks, I think. It's mostly men. Sometime I'll show you guys my analytics, but it's like I think it's 96% men that watch.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is. Does it have a Lambo calculator? It does not. We're against Lambo calculators. We got Facebook user. Facebook doesn't bring who said the Facebook comments. Streamyard, you need to get on that. You need to fix that. But whoever this is, it could be Nolan. Who knows? But whoever this is says too cheap, great value. So I thought that might be what some people say is this is too cheap for what you're creating. I mean, if you are able to pay one-time $1,000 and generate a $6,000 a month revenue stream, that's a pretty good deal. In my estimation. What do you think about making a similar concept, but with a conservative Christian family value bias? Yeah, what do you think about, kind of theming the group along different, there's probably like any number of different themes that you could kind of do to create a group like that. I don't know. What do you think about something like this?
That's a good question. I think you'll get more loyal followers with a model like that. So that I think is a bonus, but you'll also exclude some people that might be, I don't know, Buddhist or, I don't know, the different belief systems that, there's just a number of them. I would say if you're going to do it broad, you definitely want to, or if you're going to do it narrow like that, where you narrow it into a niche of people that you want to accept into the group, then you have to be prepared to, I guess, exclude those who want to be in but don't, necessarily align with that. So that's kind of why I mentioned in the beginning, you have to be like, I would say probably not if you're going to start. Depending, so if you did something like that, I would say create a group, but don't make it limited by city. And then I would advertise that group specifically for, using Facebook ads or something like that, and driving traffic to that group by targeting Christians and conservative people. So.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Like the preferred vendor model that you're using wouldn't work well. Wouldn't work as well if you focus the group on only Christians or something like that. But if you were doing some church software or something like that, create a Facebook. I mean, you really could use kind of this model for just building any kind of audience, but you've just found it works really well. This Lincoln local focused is what has worked really well for you. But definitely anytime no, go ahead.
So yeah, Jimmy, just like, I think it was just a few days ago that you shared kind of your, your testimony and things like that. And I think there's, I think that was great. I mean, I think that you have to be the type of person that lets people speak their minds. I mean, with some limitation, people are being rude or insulting, that type of thing doesn't fly. But, yeah, I think if somebody, like, if I had somebody on that has a different belief, I'd have to allow that as well. So I just feel like in principle it'd be the best thing to do. So
yeah, Nope. Makes a lot of sense. Daniel at danielwalkermedia.com. Let's talk. Awesome. I'm gonna put my email out there again. But yeah, shoot me an email or shoot Nolan an email. I'll leave his. It's on the website here. Gray Wolf Social Media, which is his social media. Nolan has his hands in a lot of things. I will say that he's an entrepreneur at heart. He does a lot of stuff. We got a question here from Joseph. What is a notional timeline from start to monetization? So maybe you can, I know this is going to be hard to pinpoint exactly, but what's kind of the goal for, like, okay, you start the group, you start getting some traction. How long does that usually take? And then, you get your first customer. And then now I've got 6K a month. What's kind of the timeline? You can maybe talk about how it's worked out in your situation. You probably could do it faster going forward for other cities because you've learned a lot along. But what would kind of be some of your timeline guesses?
I would guess, there's degrees of which basically I would say money and effort that influence the timeline. So if you have like unlimited money and you can put, a couple $1,000s behind an ad, you could have 5,000 members within a month or two. So that would kind of be like the goal of the program, is to get people around 5,000. Because if you can build it to 5,000, then you can build it to 20,000, because you did it once, you just have to do it 3 more times, and it's easier the second 3 times. So it's, I'm going to share within that program, like, how to utilize giveaways and in the best way possible. Because there was one giveaway I did was a PS5, and I think I put, I bought the PS5 for $600, and then I might have put like $200 behind an ad, and then I grew 8,000 people with that giveaway alone. So, but there are variables, and not everything goes the same every time. But if you consistently do giveaways, people will see the value of them, and then they'll start to grow that group. And, rallying around local businesses is something people love to do. So yeah, Michael Scott, win, win, win. So
yeah. Well, and it starts to take on, the hardest is at the beginning, because you're trying to get people into this group, and it's like, there's 6 people in this Save Lincoln local group. And so that's the hardest part. So that's where you really have to utilize the giveaways and things like that. And word of mouth, you start just telling people. I remember we at one point just started, you just said, hey, we got this new group, and just inviting a bunch of people. And then people were like, I want to get my friends in here. And at some point it kind of takes on its own life, where people are like, hey, we got to get in there. I'm getting great recommendations and things like that. So once you kind of get to the 5,000, you said that's kind of a good number of how long then before you start to be able to monetize it and start to make some money? Can you do that right away once you kind of get to that 5K group area?
Well, there's 2 engines of growth. One of them is getting new members. And I would say I don't emphasize that within my group as much now, since we're pretty large. But what I do emphasize with giveaways is doing giveaways so that people, instead of inviting their friends, they'll ask for things they need around the house done. Anything they need, from dentist to eye doctor to, there's all sorts of things that come through the group. And the things that have, larger value, like the types of things where, if a customer of mine gets 1 client, they're making their money back for the year. And then from there, it's just, it's pure profit. So I would say, like, once you're at that 2 to 5K mark, just do another giveaway. And then once those leads are coming in, we have a sales engine that I'll teach you, where you can reach out to those people that are getting recommended and say, hey, are you interested at all in getting recommended first and getting first dibs on these new leads coming in? And most people are willing to have a conversation around that. So,
okay. Very cool.
Again, within another month or 2, it just depends on how ambitious I think somebody is, both with their time, effort, and resources.
Yeah. And that is another good point that you brought up there too, is that this doesn't have to be, so you can work at this 24/7 and you'll get results a lot faster. But if you're still working your 9 to 5, this could be something you just do on the side. You just do kind of a little bit casually, you know, okay, on the weekends, I'm going to put in a little effort to get some giveaways going and things like that. And it doesn't have to be like pedal to the metal, get this as quickly as we can. You can kind of grow it over time. And it's just the way audiences work. That's how my email list has been for, you know, a number of years, is just, I don't like really try to grow it. Just random things here and there have grown it. My YouTube channel is another example. Like I'm not, I mean, I work pretty hard on my YouTube channel, but I'm not like 24/7 trying to get subscribers and things like that. But just over time, you be consistent and you provide value. And over time, you just, you grow an audience. I mean, that's just the way that the internet works. So love it. Awesome. Well, hey, I feel like we talked about anything. Do you have anything else you wanted to mention, or words of wisdom, words of inspiration? Anything else you have for us before we wrap up here?
Yeah, I guess I'd just say that the thing I like most about this idea is it's not necessarily it's not like other business ideas, like where with marketing, like if I'm doing an ad agency, it's kind of a risk that the customer takes on as to whether or not they'll get results. In this case, it's more of a, you know, I really like the win-win aspect of it, where even if somebody doesn't pay me, I can still, you know, take some pleasure in knowing that they, you know, got something out of something I'm doing and helping the community in that way. So if you have that mindset of like, you know, I'd love to help people and help them grow, and then keeping one hand open to give and then one hand open to receive, I think that is, I think this is the right thing for you and your city. So
awesome. Well, I would love to see us get these 25 slots filled. I'm going to put the link here down below again. So please go. And if you have any questions, just hop on here. Use this chat bot. It works really well. It goes right to his phone. Or feel free to give him a call, give him a text, shoot him an email. If you have more questions, you can ask me. I talk to Nolan pretty regularly in person. We actually hang out, me and Nolan do sometimes.
yeah, let's play some board games on Sunday.
We do.
Sunday
we
evening.
Play some board games on Sundays and hang out a bit, talk some entrepreneurism and things like that. So reach out to Nolan. He's a good guy. You guys delivered tremendous value today. Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you, audience, just for showing up. And for I love bringing these different business ideas, and I hope they're helpful for you. I hope some of you who are watching, there's a Bible verse that always comes to mind. Hard work brings a profit. Mere talk leads only to poverty. And there are many, many people who just talk about ideas. Oh, I could do this. I could do this. I could do this. I have people all day coming to me with, hey, what if you did this? What if you did that? What if you did the other thing? I want people to stop talking and put in some work and do something. And this is one of those things where Nolan will help direct you. You're going to have to do a lot of the work. Okay. Nolan's not going to go create the Facebook group for you. You're going to have to do the work in your city. He's not going to drive to San Francisco and pick up your giveaway stuff from the local businesses there. You're going to have to do the work, but Nolan will direct you. He'll say, here's the direction that I think you should go. It's a, you know, very interactive too. I think honestly, even your conversations with Nolan, you'll just pick up a lot of entrepreneurial things and ideas. Ideas will spark. I think businesses will come out of even just being part of this program here with Nolan. So I would love to sell this out. Everybody go sign up or at least say hi to Nolan. Thank you guys always for watching. Nolan, thank you for being my friend. And thank you for building this. Thanks for hopping on, man. I look forward to working more with you. And we'll talk to you. We'll probably see you this weekend sometime.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it. And yeah, it's a privilege to speak to your audience. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Awesome, man. Well, thank you, everyone. I actually have another video at 4 p.m. Central Time. So you get an hour break, but then come back. And I got more to talk about here this evening. So appreciate all you guys and hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks, everybody.